Hello, and welcome to another episode of Joy and Gratitude. I'm here with my co host, Miss Beth and Nio. And Beth, as always, enlighten us. What is our topic for today?
Today, we're going to talk about friendship. And we're going to talk, I know. And I'm just coming off of a beautiful trip with friends, and it really got me reflecting on friendship. And I want to talk a little bit about what that word means to you. And then also, I feel like it's a give and take. What does friendship give, and what does it take to nurture a friend? And also, what does it feed in us? So the sort of the three things that got me thinking about friendship. So what does it give? What does it take? And what does it feed in us? And then, me and you, we will go wherever this takes us, since we are always in flow. So, but that's the intention, is to have a good conversation about friendship.
Friendship. You know, that one is, I think friendship is an evolution of a relationship. And when I say that is because it's an intentional decision that we have to make with someone, that we are going to provide space for them, sit by them, see them grow, see them in sadness, see them in flow, and be willing to give of ourselves freely to them also, um, and hold judgment aside. So, friendship is something that often is confused with acquaintance or someone that is in your circle. Not everybody that is in your circle and that is in your acquaintance, and that you've even experienced situations with, is your friend. And knowing how to evaluate, since I was little, my father always said, if you end up with two friends in your whole life, you are ahead of everything, because most people don't even get that. And then I actually had to learn that my dad's thesis was wrong. It's sometimes the friend that you need for the season.
Say more about that.
There are many seasons in your life that you may be in a slump, and you meet a person, not by chance, by divine intervention and intention, that is the right person to help you through that season. And that person is there, and the relationship is nurtured, and you're giving back to that person too, but they are really with you for that season. And when you grow from a season, maybe that person is not in your life as much. And you can call upon them, at some point, but it's not the intensity of the needed friendship. And that's the value of friends. To me, the friends are the ones that I have not spoken to you in 4 months, but I can pick up the phone and it's as if it was 4 months ago. And we are in jibe, we are in flow, we're respecting each other, we're loving on each other, just as if we saw each other every single day. Friendship is so special because it's an act of intention. You had to make the decision. You had to make the decisions to say, yes, I want to be your friend.
Mhm. So I love that you went there, because I was listening to you intently around, because I agree with what you're saying. But there was also a piece of me that was going, but it has to be two-way. Meaning, I have found over time that in this season at my age, I am letting go of some friendships where it is one way, and I am putting in the effort, and have for our whole relationship, really. And I no longer want to do that. I want to put my energy into the friendships where it's mutual, there's reciprocity. And I don't say that with sort of I'm not trying to be like, you have to tit for tat. It's
No.
not that at all. It's more around because I agree with you. As you were describing it, I thought, yeah, I have a lot of friends who, if I just picked up the phone, I could reconnect with them in a beautiful way because of all of our relationship over time. But over time, there has been reciprocity. And I
Mhm.
think if there hasn't been, that's where I sort of go, when I have the instinct that says I should be the driver, I should follow, I always say should. The
Mhm.
minute I think I'm saying I should reach out, I'm now checking and going, why is that? Like, what in my heart is saying I should do that? Because it's been time? Do I have a need? Do I feel like they probably want me to reach out? And that's when I now stop and go, wait a minute. If we're truly connected as friends in a space just as you described, where there's holding and love and compassion, then I should reach out when I want to,
Right.
not because I feel like I should in order to
Mhm.
maintain the relationship. And if that means that the relationship evolves and slowly shifts and changes because I am no longer maintaining it, like watering a plant constantly every, couple of weeks, because that no longer feels good to me. I have limited energy and I want to put it into the places where, we're building that garden together. We're living in joy or holding each other in sadness, but there's that feeling that's happening together. So it was funny, you just caught me a little bit going, I'm in a place now where I'm not intentionally evaluating all my friendships, but I'm checking with myself to go, if there feels like there's some sort of obligation, maybe just step back and don't do that. But and see where that goes. And in some of the relationships, it's great because then the other person's like, I really miss you. And all of a sudden we're like, okay, we should connect. And then we connect again. And
Mhm.
it's beautiful. And in some, maybe as you said, the season has changed. And whatever was going on for us has shifted. And that's okay too. I love this idea of friends in seasons and lifelong friends that are there throughout all of the seasons. And maybe that's a little bit more towards the thesis that your father had, where
Right.
if you look over your whole lifetime, how many people are in your life that have literally been there through all of the seasons or many of them. Obviously we meet people throughout our lives, not all the way in the beginning when we're toddlers, but some of our friends are, I mean, I still have friends from when I was in school as like a preschool Montessori kid, and they're still in my life, and we do exactly what we just described, which is we live near each other. We are not in touch all the time, but when we are, we pick up as if nothing has changed. And that there's such beauty in that. There's such beauty in that.
No, it has a lot to do with us just I think the older we get, the more that we start understanding the person we were and the person that we currently are and the person that we see ourselves in the future. And not all friends can go through that journey with us.
Mm,
A good example of that, I was watching a clip of an interview of Michelle Obama, and they asked her, "So, what happened with your friends when you went into the White House?" And she says, "Well, there were some that came with and some that I had to move on." And it's understanding those relationships that sometimes you're just giving and that person can't pour into
mhm,
your, vessel. And you have to move on because it's not going to be healthy for you because you can't pour anymore. And that's, I'm paraphrasing what she said, of course. But that's a reality in life. And it's okay. It's okay if we say this relationship has passed. There's nothing wrong with that. And we have to be kind to ourselves and be able to do that. And then there's the situations that we need a friend and we don't even know that we need a friend.
mm,
This weekend, I went to an event. It was a gala for an organization that's called My Sister's Keeper. And, I had two brothers. I never had a sister. So for me, the whole sister concept is a little bit difficult. I mean, I've seen it from afar, but I don't have a sister, so I can't say that I've enjoyed the privilege of having a sister.
Mhm.
Um, but definitely, I've had the opportunity of having sisters by choice in my life.
Mm.
And I went to this event, and what it is this organization was started out in Cleveland by a dynamic woman that she basically was identified with cancer and realized there were no organizations for African American and Latinos and um, that supported the cancer journey. So she started one with a few friends and family. And now it's in multiple states, it's throughout the country. It's
Mm.
an incredible organization. And something that they did in this gala, I had never seen in my life. And it was because they took sisterhood and friendship and they brought it to life. They had the 2025 cancer survivors come on the runway. They had a fashion show too. And they walked on the runway and they're wearing crowns because they were the survivors and went down to the main dance floor and they did a semicircle. And then they had the 2026 cancer survivors come one by one and they were wearing these capes with
Mm.
hoods and a mask. And they went down the runway, down the steps, and one of the cancer survivors from the previous year
Mm.
that was their mentor, their sister, waited until they took off their mask because they had survived. And they took off their cloak and they put a crown on them. And I still get emotional
Mm. I'm
having
emotional right
seen
now.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, having
Ooh.
seen it, it was one of the most beautiful experiences of seeing the connection of
Mm.
two people that probably would have never been friends, never known each other if it wasn't for the shared experience. But there they were, that person that crowned her gave her babysitting when she had to go to treatment,
Mm.
sat and now helped her navigate her care journey, helped her family understand about diet, understand about the emotional changes that they were going through and she was going through. And that was a friend in need. That was a friend that came into her life as a true angel. And they call themselves warriors because warriors fight the journey together and they never give up. And warriors remain. That was the most beautiful example of friendship. And I was blessed to see it. I was blessed to enjoy it. I couldn't believe, and let me tell you, I am not doing this justice. These ladies came out and they were dancing. They all came out like this. And there was this beautiful music and and they got crowned and after they got crowned, they did this dance all together. And I thought of the hours of choreograph and intent that went into this.
Mm.
Just women that never had been on a stage. And they looked like professionals. It was so beautiful.
Mm.
So friendship has many, many faces, but it all comes down to that decision, that choice to say, I'm going to give of myself.
Mm.
And guess what? I'm doing it freely. I'm not expecting anything back. And I remain.
It's powerful. I'm just letting some silence envelop that story. And I think it's such a perfect example of, as you mentioned, we have in some ways that health journey of breast cancer is a season, right? It wasn't there before, and now it forever will be one of the seasons of those people's women's beautiful lives. That made it so tangible that maybe you didn't, you didn't know somebody, but that there are these moments that happen in our lives where people just come into each other's lives in ways that are unpredictable. But there is this level of commitment, of care, of generosity, of compassion that really, to me, helps define, true friendship. And I think as you were talking, one of the things, I pictured the crown and this idea of, and again, this is for me, but my true friendships, the ones that have last a lifetime, are those friends who make me feel seen and cared for. And they know that I am constantly caring for others. It's something that is part of my identity and something that I do. And they come in and see me in a way that I have this one beautiful friend, Jen, who's been in my life for many, many moons. And she just knows how to show up in ways that you sort of nailed it, in ways I don't even know that I need. And there have been numerous times where she just offers to hop on a plane. And I know that it's not a hollow offer. I know that if I said, I need
Yeah.
to have you get on that plane, there, there would be, she would be here however many hours later and just show up. And I remember all those times that she made the offer. Initially, I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. But when she did it consistently over time, in the moments where I was shattered or shocked or the many things that happened in our lives, I all of a sudden started to trust and believe that she really would do it. And most of the time, that was enough.
Yeah.
Just to know that I had a person that would come by my side and do maybe just sit, as you mentioned, like maybe sometimes just be by my side. Wasn't about the tasks. It was about somebody just holding space with me while I processed some of the things. And there is something so incredible about feeling so seen. And I do think that when you talk about the lifetime friends, part of that evolution of that is that they do get to know you better and better,
Yes.
and they get to understand what's showing up for you, this
Mhm.
other human who's not them. So
Yeah.
maybe showing up for you is not at all how they want you to show up for them. It's
That's right.
it's this beautiful, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that, which is the importance of communication
Mhm.
in these robust, long-term, beautiful friendships where think we're saying some of the beautiful parts. I mean, there are plenty
Yeah.
of parts of friendship that are not beautiful, where maybe you feel disappointed or sad
Mhm.
or frustrated. And so I do think I just wanted to name this idea of communication being also very important, such that you make it through whatever's going on, and that sometimes you actually have to say how you're feeling about a friendship or a friend so that you can continue on the path forward together. And I think that can be really hard sometimes because depending on the relationship, that might not be the natural go-to for you. Maybe your friendship is more grounded in the fun stuff or
Yeah.
different things, right? That also happens. And then you have to decide like how and which to say, hey, this thing happened. And I will say that's one of the things as a coach I work really hard with people to do, which is remember that if something is impacting you with a friendship, relationship, if you don't say anything, you have to realize you're carrying a little baggage. I always say, like, is it a pocketbook or a suitcase? But like it starts out as a pocketbook. Maybe like
Mhm.
one thing happens and you're upset or disappointed or frustrated. If you don't just speak about it while it's still fresh and you're able to say, hey, I just wanted you to know when you did X, it made me feel Y. And I just want to make sure we're clear and talk about it because I don't want to have my pocketbook become a carry-on that becomes a large piece of checked luggage. Like, because that is what will happen. And so this idea of caring enough about and cherishing that friendship enough to know that sometimes doing the hard thing, which is to have that conversation that might be easier to push aside, it is in the long run going to strengthen your relationship.
Yeah. Behavior and attitude are the two things in a relationship that can dictate when it goes positive or it goes south. And one of the things that friends see, they see the ugly, they see the good, you know, but they see some of the ugly that other people's don't even see.
Mhm.
Because in friendship, we tend to show our vulnerability, and they can
Yes.
see those things. And that's why space is so important, because if there is no friendship, that vulnerability can be used against you.
Mm.
That vulnerability can be thrown in your face. But a friend wouldn't do that. Even if you behave badly, the friend would have the conversation, right? And deal with
Yes.
the behavior, as opposed to sitting in the behavior in a negative state and letting it fester. So that's the difference with the friendship. The friendship has the openness
Mm.
to say, you know what? Got to check your energy.
Oh yeah, that doesn't. I always say that doesn't look good on you.
That doesn't look good on you. You got to check yourself. A friend is able to mention those things that others would not, that others would stay silent and judge. Where a friend
It's
would just be able to say, hold up, you're not presenting as who you are.
yes.
You're better than this. And that's the beauty of it. The other thing is, in friendship, true friendship, you don't take advantage of each other. You're trying to elevate each other.
Mm.
And that's why my dad always said that one or two, because there are very few people that are not in relationships trying to get something out of it. That's human nature. You enter into a relationship, and even if you're not conscious of it, you are trying to get something out of that relationship, a purpose, a reason, a connection, something. Whereas in friendship, you just want to be.
Oh,
You
the
just,
best is when we get to be, just be.
yeah, you
Right.
just want to
You get
be.
all of me. And I think one thing that you said around sort of sharing if somebody isn't showing up the way that their centered inner person would not want. I think there's this way to use invitation, like an invitation. I keep saying to people, just ask, be ask if you can share in a way that they can hear you. And I think that can be so positive. You say like, "Hey, is it okay if I share something with you that I see that's going on?" And that right there is again bringing you into a place where they're allowing some permission. They
Hmm.
trust you. So that was just one note I want to say. I'm really working with people to have that invitation to share feedback that might not land the way you want it to, and just that slight alteration of how you go into a conversation can be really powerful. And I think the other piece that you said, which is really important, and I do think comes, I don't know, I'm projecting that it comes with age, maybe it doesn't, but you mentioned that you would go right to the person, right? Right, that there's enough respect and enough
Yeah.
trust that you go to that person. I do believe that one of the things that can really ruin relationships is that triangulation where when you're
Hmm.
frustrated about a friend, you go to someone else.
Yeah.
And I think back to my youth. I mean, that's what I spent right? If your friend
Yeah.
upset you, all
Everybody
the
did that.
drama, all
Yeah.
the drama that went
Yep.
down in like middle school, I mean, even elementary school, middle school was because you would do something that upset me and I would go tell everybody else what you did. And then now all of a sudden there's no you and I going like, hey, what you said kind of hurt me.
Right.
Instead, I'm trying to get, because it all comes down to belonging. And now I'm feeling hurt and we're feeling disconnected. So I now need to go somewhere to get belonging. And, we're all trying to figure stuff out then. It's very much a developmental time in our lives. But man, as we get older, the importance of not triangulating
Mhm.
is so critical because it is so much more hurtful and traumatic when another person is somehow involved when they were not at all initially involved in what was happening
Exactly.
with that relationship. So I do think that takes some courage and I think it takes a trust in the relationship to say, I'm going to say this thing directly to you. And, but I think the power of the other side of that is deeper level connection
Mhm.
and friendship that can last through everything. And maybe sometimes not. And that's telling too. Maybe
Yeah.
you decide I'm going to have to share something and the person on the other side doesn't want to receive it, maybe shuts down, maybe severs the relationship. And that's so sad, but it's also telling you something about that relationship. And you need to always, what are we coming back to, Neo? Authenticity and self
Mhm.
leadership. And it comes down to you making sure that you have checked in with yourself and done it, whatever you next do, whatever choice you make, that you've done it thoughtfully, that you've done it with
Yes.
love and with a kind heart. And if all of that is true, then regardless of what happens on the other side, you can stand strong.
Absolutely. Because it really does come to um, all those things we can wrap up in the word respect.
Mm,
Respect in the relationship, respect in each other. Because a friend should know that nothing that's done should be done with ill intent.
mm,
A friend would know that. Um, so that wouldn't be something in a real friendship that would be questioned. However, when the relationship is fragile,
mm,
that's when those things come apart. And I have to agree with you. I think the triangulation is the biggest destructor
mm.
of a relationship
It is.
because there is I can't think of anything that is more hurtful than when someone that was not in the mix starts talking about a situation that happened between you and someone else and you just feel, oh my goodness, I'm disrespected. I've
Mm,
been, yeah, why would you do that? Why would you share? Why would you, and that's the end of it.
mhm,
Most of the disagreements are the fact that the trust was severed by taking the situation outside of the two of you.
mhm.
And trust and friendship is so important. I mean, it's that bridge that keeps you glued and together. So, you know, friendships um, will outlive many marriages. Friendships will outlive um, sometimes even parents. You can have a friend. I mean, you have a friend that's from kindergarten, and your parents can pass on, and that friendship still remains. So we need to really value our friendships. We need to understand that they are a gift and we have to be grateful and joyous about the fact they're in our lives. And with that, I had the dickens of a time trying to put together the Joy Notes song. And I will tell you, there is not one song,
Mhm.
there are three.
Ooh!
Yes. And one of them is for adults, disclaimer, because, it has a little foul word in it. The first one just because every time I think of the word friends, it always comes to mind. And that's You Have a Friend in Me. Um, that's What Friends Are For by a Dionne Warwick. That's number one.
Mm.
Number two is Fuck, I Love My Friends uh, by renforshort. And the last one is I Will Be Your Friend by Sade.
Mm.
And if you never heard F, I Love My Friends, it just is through the seasons, I Love My Friends.
Mm.
And you got to listen to it. It's kind of a funky song. And, Sade just lays it out. I want to be your friend. I'm going to be your friend through those times. I'm going to be your friend through the joy. I want to be your friend. Let's look what Gratitude Rocks have to say.
Okay, let's see. Digging a little bit here. Oh, this is a nice whitish blue for those of you that can't see. And the word is breathe. It's funny, all that's coming to me right now is breathing in friendship. And even
Hmm.
I'm just looking at you and thinking, like, for those of you that have been watching Neo and I, you are witnessing the deepening of a friendship every single time
Yeah.
we record an episode, and breathing in that total trust, breathing in that connection. And when you feel it, I guess I would just say lean in. When it feels like you've got something special, that you want to spend more time with someone, that you want to say yes to every invitation. And through your seasons of life, when you're feeling that way, just say yes and breathe in to the newness of a relationship, of a friendship, of a commitment to someone who wants to be in your space and hold and be with you through whatever it is that you're in.
So true. And just be kind to each other. Know that it's your choice to be friends. Enjoy it. Lift it up. Be grateful and sit in joy together. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Joy and Gratitude.